emails and phone calls from parents on the situation, and I would say 80 to 90% of those have been glowing and positive in support. Many thank yous from parents in terms of how it's been handled. That's what I was just replying to just now. I just received another one, just really thanking us for taking it seriously, and that yes, it's been an inconvenience, but they are so pleased that we have a district that puts the safety of kids first in terms of how it was handled. So I've been really happy to receive those and gratified to receive those. So it's been a challenging week, but anyways, the details with where we are at, we've once again searched the entire high school today. We looked through all the lockers. I can't say enough about how phenomenal our staff has been, and just stepping up and pitching in, and teachers searching lockers and locker rooms and their classrooms, and coming up with plans in terms of how we can best acclimate kids back to school tomorrow, giving up their prep times, volunteering to say, hey, how can I help you out? AP teachers are a little bit struggling because they've lost some valuable time right before the AP exams, and other teachers saying, I will deliver materials to your AP kids during my prep tomorrow to help you out, and just all kinds of examples of those kinds of things happening. So, so the building's been searched again. We'll open the doors at 7 tomorrow. We have metal detectors in place. We have 4 that want to compliment Nicolay High School, who is loaning those to us at no charge. Mark Cloutier arranged that with them. Brand new metal detectors they haven't used yet because their old ones were destroyed by the flood that they had last year. So those are on loan to us. And my message to parents today was that we do not have a threat. We have no viable or credible threat that we're concerned about, that really we are doing this as a precaution and as a means to create peace of mind for our parents and our kids in coming back to school and taking that additional step. So all kids will go through a security check, much like you would at the airport tomorrow when they arrive, as we send them off to class. So we'll do some bag checks, and all kids will go through the metal detectors, and we have a process in place, and we'll have we have those things all staffed and ready to go. There will be a police presence there tomorrow as well. And I agree with what Steve said. The Franklin PD has been fantastic to work with. They've been very supportive and helpful. We had a great meeting this morning with the chief and a couple of his captains just to talk about how things have went this way, what communication should maybe go out, and just the process for tomorrow. So, so that's kind of where we're at.
Did you go through the cameras and stuff?
Tom Reinke, I know, was doing some looking at cameras today. The message that was written in the bathroom stall was in the boys' bathroom in the lunchroom. There was probably 500 kids that went into that bathroom at some point during the day. So the cameras don't do us much good. We don't have cameras in the bathroom for obvious reasons. So there's not a whole lot there that's useful to us. It's more the students coming forward and information relative if they've heard anything or there are threats that we should follow through with. The social media is just all lit up with this kind of stuff and embellishment and untruths and those kinds of things. So, you got to take a lot of that with a grain of salt and deal with it and follow through as prudently as you can, but you just can't react to every little thing.
Students receive a handbook every year, correct?
Yes.
Perhaps the parents can be reminded that in the handbook, policy on searches is in that handbook, because there seems to be questions about illegal searches, but it's right in that handbook, and it's statute also, besides being a policy. So.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, there have been a couple of questions on that, and what you get in these situations a lot is either you react too strongly or you don't react strongly enough, and people are somewhere on that spectrum of that. But I have to tell you, very little criticism, that I've received. Almost entirely very positive, and even the people that kind of have questions, you talk to them and they're very understanding and appreciate the effort and understand the situation that we are in. you know, they get the handbook every year. The thing about it is this, until it applies to you, until you're in a situation where you have to be searched or you end up being disciplined, most people don't pay much attention to those kinds of policies and those things, and they ask questions when it applies. For example, one of the criticisms is, well, why didn't you pat down every kid in the building on Monday? Well, one, we would have never left. We would have still been there doing pat downs in terms of a practical sense of it. But really, we don't have the legal standard to have searched every kid individually, because you have to have reasonable suspicion that this student may be in possession of something, and we did not have that. The lockers are a totally different animal. Lockers we can search whenever we want because those are our property, and there is no expectation of privacy in a student locker. So you make a good point. It is published. It is in their hand. Those planners that they carry around is where their handbook is. They're expected to carry those with them at all times, so they have it readily accessible. But typically with, you know, people go to the dress code when their kid gets called in the office for being dressed inappropriately. People look at what the stuff says about suspension when their kid gets suspended. You know, when it's in there, they tend to look when it applies to them. Any other questions?